Can I just say, all the people crying in the comments section about the fact that it was 98 minutes instead of 96, get over yourselves. Yeah, they was wasting time. If it had been for your team, you'd have done the same thing. You'd have felt the same way as what we do. You're just
100%.
scared. Pack it in, man.
Yeah. So like, I mean, this game, like there's nothing like it, and it shouldn't feel this way because it's Bournemouth and it should have been business as usual, but you can never take anything for granted in this league. Like that's why it's the best league in the world. Anybody can get beaten on any given day. But three unlikely scores. I think for me, I don't think Martinelli or Saka had their best games, but they were the players that carried us against Everton. But today, it was different people that stepped up, and that's what's so important. I think Thomas Partey was culpable for the second goal that Bournemouth scored because not only did he give away a really soft foul for no reason, but he was bad defensively. He's the one who got our first goal back. And you could see he just grabbed the ball and ran back. For me, that's mentality. Reece Nelson, he comes in. Mind you, Reece Nelson would not have been on the bench today had Nketiah been fit. He wasn't on the bench last game. I don't think people realize that. Reece Nelson wasn't even on the bench last game. So for him to come in, and the only reason why he played today was because ESR just wasn't doing the business. ESR came off the bench first. He wasn't that good. He didn't really do much, and he wasn't dynamic enough. Reece Nelson had the mentality to come in. He was really direct, and he got the assist for Ben White's first ever Arsenal goal. Like, this is the first goal that he's ever scored for Arsenal Football Club, and I want to say they only scored one for Leeds. This is an unlikely goal scorer. And then for Reece Nelson to have the composure at the end of the match, last kick of the game, basically, to put it in the back of the net with his weaker foot, it's just insane. Like, I am just over the moon. I'm emotional. I know a lot of people cried. I know it because I felt like I was just going to cry. Not because this means that we're winning the league, but this team is different. And everybody gets to that realization at a different time. I think I felt like the team was different after Aston Villa, but my God, I mean, I had started, texting. I was like, well, at least we got a point. And then we turned around and got all three. What? Mikel Arteta deserves so much credit for the substitutions, for keeping everybody calm. I mean, I just don't even know. We're winning the league, period.
I like hearing it. I like hearing it. Gal, how about yourself, my friend? Because it was a tough game. You 2-0 down. It felt like the refereeing decisions weren't going your way. Like, before we talk about the game, tell me how you feel. What your emotions on this? Because fan emotion is the most important thing to the football terrace, because that's what matters more than tactics and stuff. So how are you feeling?
We showed the heart of champions. We showed that we want this more than anybody else. I know it's Bournemouth, but we didn't play our best. We showed that when the chips are down and it looks like we're gonna face an opportunity where we're gonna drop points, and everyone else usually would drop their heads, that we pick ourselves up. And it might be poetic justice that today's the first day that Arsenal have ever had a full 11 out at the beginning of the game post Arsene Wenger era. This is the first time we've had a whole 11 without any Arsene Wenger players starting. And today, this is the beginning of a new Arsenal, guys. Everybody who hasn't seen this team and has been saying, you know what, I'm still doubting it, I still question this. What are you questioning? Look at it, what's in front of you. We don't buckle. We continue to push on. We face adversity, 2-0 down. We find our way. Emil Smith-Rowe got injured. Trossard got injured. We didn't even talk about that. We got numerous players go down throughout the game, ruin the flow of the game. Guess what? It didn't matter. Next man up. Reece Nelson comes on, changes the game. Shout out to Reece Nelson. Absolutely changed the game. Unlikely hero, similar to what he did against Nottingham Forest. When Saka went down and we thought the game was done, he did it again. And I am absolutely beside myself. I lost my voice. I was yelling and screaming. Right now, I don't want to do that. But I'm telling you guys, I genuinely don't think you guys realize how much this galvanizes the squad. I genuinely don't think you guys realize how much this puts more belief in everyone's heads that we can goddamn do this. Not just the fans, not just the people who disbelieve. The team, they've never been this connected. And honestly, I do believe in no longer in the back of their minds. This is in the front of their minds. They're saying to themselves, we have a 5-point lead. We're not going to let it slip. And it doesn't matter if there's 5 seconds left, 2 seconds left, 7 minutes left in added time. We're going to find our way. And that is a scary sight for every single one of you guys. You should be absolutely beside yourselves.
Just as some dickhead said on YouTube in August, just be scared. Yeah, listen, listen. I agree. I think rivals should be worried about Arsenal. This is not a flash in the pan season where you're performing above and beyond yourselves. If every game was like today, you could argue that. But the reason these games mean more is because the majority of your wins have been relatively comfortable. And again, how do I recognize this? When my team was good for the first 2 decades or so of my life, this is what we did. We had most of our games were comfortable, and every now and then you'd have a team that would give you a tough time, but invariably you'd still find a way to win. And it got to a point why sometimes when we just play at home against the Bournemouths and you'd be 2-0 up at half time, you go down to get a drink from the bars like behind where the seating area is in grounds for anyone that hasn't been, and sometimes you'd sit there drinking until like the 60th, 70th minute and then go back up and check on the result because it was just seen as business as usual. But if you were losing or suddenly you were behind, it was like, oh, I used to get more excited. At least there's a game on now. And Arsenal are kind of falling into that pattern now of these games are rare. There's been 2 in a space of a couple of weeks, but they're rare for Arsenal this season. So the emotion comes rising to the top. But I did want to ask you all, because there was some poor officiating today. There was one, the ones that I looked at, there was 2 from a block shot on the elbow here, and there was 3 from Billings. I don't know what the other 4 handballs were people were talking about, but 3 handball decisions that could have gone Arsenal's way today. But what did you make of the officiating on the game?
We weren't good enough in the first half, but the refereeing was utter disrespectful to the level of refereeing that should be played in this league. We know how bad the referees are. These guys are never going to change. But my question is, what is the exact rule? If the rule is that under your shirt, I'm pretty sure there was at least 3 of those balls hit under a person's shirt. If you're saying it's close to your body, if it's close to your body, I get it, because at least 2 of them were close to your body. But the first one, definitely, I thought it was a penalty. And even Tomiyasu getting kicked, I questioned that one. I think there's absolutely 4 opportunities where you could have given a penalty, but it is what it is. We won the goddamn game. Referees and your corruptness, continue to do what you got to do. We're gonna still win this league even with you guys against us.
We deserved at least 1 penalty. Period.
Yeah. The Tomiyasu one that stood out the most. The Tomiyasu one.
The penalty. The Tomiyasu
How is
one.
there 4 shouts in one game?
I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe Tomiyasu got kicked. Looked at it back. I was like, they were like, he just slipped. I was like, are you for real? Like, no. And then the Billing one for me, they were like, oh, he was pulling his hand away. I don't give a damn. Your hand was like this. The ball hit your hand like that. That is a penalty. But what can you do? Because I still feel like there's times where we get calls that are kind of, so it kind of evens itself out. But we persevered beyond that and the time wasting, which is most important. But we deserved at least 1 penalty in that game.
Not in recent weeks, though, Jess. This is where I'll disagree, right? And I don't want to be one of these fans who sit here and say there's a conspiracy against Arsenal. But if we look at recent weeks, Leicester, that's a penalty on Saka all day long. And if that had happened, the following week or the week after that, I could guarantee you they'd give it. And it's like a gal said, right? It's not the fact that they're not giving them or they are giving them. It's the inconsistency. It's just a joke. Because, again, today, you see them handballs. They wasn't given today, but I could guarantee you that'll happen next week and they'll give them. So they need to sort that out because, just recently, I am looking at VAR decisions that have gone against Arsenal. Luckily, we've shown the bottle to come through that, and it hasn't affected us in terms of our points and making sure that we're winning games and stuff like that. But even so, you expect better than that. And the officiating in the Premier League has got to be better. It's poor. It's so poor.
Terry, we average more apologies this season than the PGOL have done in their whole history.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
And again, I don't think there's a corruption against Arsenal. I've seen many with my club. There was one we had in a cup game recently where Weghorst wins the ball, gets the ball first. The guy went to boot it and clear it, misses the ball, smashes him in the shin, and nothing was given. I thought, when looking back at these penalties, I didn't think this one was. This angle makes it look like it is, but his arm's right by his side. He's kind of twisting him. Didn't think it was. This one here, I felt it was so close. There's not much he could do. The first one was the one that was a penalty for me because I understand his arm's in a natural position to head the ball, but he misses his head and it hits the arm, which stops it falling to one of your players. And I know that it's meant to be, they say it's deliberate, but at the same time, it's still handball for me. I think they've got to re-look at this rule around, if it's going to just be what deliberate handball is, then essentially you should only ever give it if somebody makes a bloody goal line save, type thing. Then at least then it'll be consistent. The problem is you'll see one given like this in the next few games that looks identical and it creates a problem.